All right, if you're an AMC student, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going way beyond just describing what you see in a document. We're going to give you the keys to unlock a whole new way of thinking and writing like a true cultural critic.
So let's kick things off with a pretty tough question, one that examiners are always asking themselves when they're reading student work. By the end of our time today, I promise you, when you're looking at any text or image, you'll be able to confidently say, oh yeah, I'm analyzing. We're moving past the obvious and straight into the insightful.
And you know, this isn't just random stuff. Everything we're talking about today slots perfectly into your AMC curriculum. We're in Theme 2, all about representations, and we're focusing on Axis 3, how representations get passed around, especially through the media, and what the real-world impact of stereotypes and clichés actually is.
Okay, so here's the game plan for today in 5 simple parts. First, we'll decode what representations really are. Then, we'll build your analyst toolkit. We'll look at the common traps you've got to avoid, show you exactly how to craft a brilliant argument, and finally, we'll talk about why any of this really matters. This is your roadmap from just looking at things to actually seeing what's going on.
Okay, let's dive right in. Part 1, decoding representations. And we're going to start by setting up the one big question that's going to guide us through this entire masterclass. So this is the big one. This is the central challenge we're tackling today. How can we look at a document and see the power games being played without just resorting to lazy stereotypes? It's not about what we see, it's about how it's being shown to us. We're learning to pull back the curtain on those complex and often really unequal relationships.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the Analyst Toolkit. Think of this as me handing you the 3 essential keys you're going to need to unlock a much deeper understanding of any document you come across.
First up, representation. And here's the absolute key takeaway. A representation is never neutral. It's just not. A painting, a description in a book, it isn't a simple photograph of reality. It's a deliberate construction, right? It's built with a purpose, with a point of view, usually to hammer home a certain idea or myth.
Next up, we have otherness, or as you might know it, alterarity. This one is so important. Cultures often figure out who they are by deciding who they are not. They create the other. So, your job, as the analyst, is to figure out how the document creates this sense of otherness and what that tells us about the prejudices and biases of the person telling the story.
And our third key concept, power. Honestly, this is the engine that drives almost everything. So in every single document, you've got to ask yourself, who's holding the cards here? Who has the power? Is it the artist, the narrator, the person in the portrait? And how does that imbalance of power completely shape the story that we're being sold?
Okay, so now that you have those 3 big ideas, here's a super simple 4-step method you can use for any document. It's like a checklist. Number 1, contextualize. Ask who, when, why. 2, observe and read closely. What tiny details jump out? 3, analyze. What do those details tell you about power and otherness? And finally, number 4, connect. How does this piece fit into the bigger puzzle?
Okay, Section 3. This is one of my favorites, avoiding common traps. Seriously, think of this as getting a secret cheat sheet straight from the examiners about what not to do. These are the mistakes that students make all the time, and we're going to make sure you just walk right past them.
So trap number 1, and this is the big one, is just describing what you see. The weak approach is basically a list. I see this, this, and this. Okay, but so what? The strong approach talks about composition, symmetry, and what these choices mean. See the difference? One is a list, the other is an argument, and that is analysis.
All right, trap number 2, falling for those big, lazy generalizations or stereotypes. The weak approach makes a huge claim with 0 proof. But the pro move, it's all about zooming in on specific word choices. That close reading, that micro-analysis of words like wild and exotic is how you build a rock-solid argument about the narrator's point of view. And this brings us to a golden rule, a piece of advice pulled straight from a jury report. Citer n'est pas prouvé. Quoting is not proving. You can't just drop a quote into your essay and expect it to do the work for you. It proves nothing by itself. It's your analysis of that quote, what it shows, why it's important. That's where you score all the points.
Okay, so we know what not to do. Now let's flip it. Let's talk about how to build a really powerful, sophisticated argument that's going to knock it out of the park. This is the constructive part.
You know, every great analysis starts with a fantastic guiding question, your problématique. Just look at this example that the jury loved. It's not just asking what's in the documents. No, it asks how they question power, how they challenge the idea of cultural boundaries. It's sharp, it's analytical, and it sets you up for a really interesting argument.
And check this out. This slide is basically the magic formula for a perfect paragraph. It's so simple: idea, example, explanation. First, you state your point. Then, you give a very specific example to back it up. Then, and listen, this is where the magic really happens. You explain how that example proves your point and what its deeper meaning is. That's it. Now here's a tip that will really take your analysis to the next level. The best analyses never treat documents like they're on separate islands. You have to build bridges between them. And if you get documents from different time periods, that's a gift. Show how representations have changed over time, or maybe how they've stayed stubbornly the same. Looking at things over time, that diachronic view shows a really sophisticated level of thinking.
Okay, last section. So you might be thinking, this is great for my exam, but why does this stuff really matter? Well, this is where we connect it all to the world outside the classroom.
Here's the thing. That skill you're learning, the one that lets you decode in 19th century painting and see how it was building a myth, that is the exact same skill you need to understand a news report, a political ad, or even an Instagram post today. This isn't about the past, it's the absolute foundation of media literacy for the present.
And honestly, look at this. This is exactly why these skills are more important now than ever. We're seeing trust in the media fall and become more and more polarized. In a world where you can't just passively trust what you're told, you now have the toolkit to be skeptical, to ask the hard questions about everything you see, read, and hear.
So, I want to leave you with one final powerful question. I want you to burn this into your brain. What story is being told, and who has the power to tell it? Make it your mantra. Use it as your guide, not just for your AMC course, but for, well, everything. Use it to be a more critical, more engaged citizen of the world. Always be asking it.